Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining in again to Movement Possible. This class is being offered through Berkshire Yoga, Dance, and Fitness. And we're really grateful to this. I'm feeling really grateful to the studio and to Rachel and the other teachers who are offering these classes online for free to the community to help us all stay well and connected on some level during this unusual time. So thank you for joining in. And as I mentioned, the classes are free. If you want to give a financial donation to help support the studio and teachers during this time, you can do that at the website supportbydf.com. And again, thanks for joining. My name's Kate Blair, and the class that I'll be teaching is called Movement Possible. This class, this is the third virtual class I'm offering, and the overarching topic for the class is reviewing some of the basic patterns that are fundamental to our human movements, such as breath, head, tail, spinal movements. Today we'll be exploring the cross-lateral, or excuse me, not the cross-lateral, the core-distal pattern. And we'll also be reviewing our breath and head, tail, spinal patterns. And I first learned about these patterns in classes of movement fundamentals with a wonderful teacher named Jane Hawley. And I loved a book that we read for one of those classes called Making Connections by Peggy Hackney. And the book describes some of these patterns that I'm going to be sharing and exploring in the class. Breath, head, tail, spinal patterns, core, distal, and many more. So several more basic patterns in the book. So for the class, if you could find some paper and a pencil or markers, crayons, whatever you have. I have a little journal book here, and we're going to be doing a little bit of reflective writing in the midst of the class. So if you don't have that available, don't worry. It's not a huge issue, but if you do and you like to get some paper and some markers or color pencils, whatever you have, I'll give you just a moment to do that. Okay. Okay. And once you have your journal and your markers and paper, just go ahead and set those things to the side, and we'll be actually connecting to those things shortly. If you don't have them, don't worry, I'll give you a different idea during that time. Okay, so we're going to begin with a check-in of ourselves and where our energy is through our breath. But before we do that, I always would like to begin each class by asking yourself how you're doing in this moment, and perhaps also what's bringing you to this class. If there's something you're curious about or something you are hoping to learn or experience, to put that intention for yourself and just give you a moment to think about how you're doing and if you have any intentions for the class. And if you also are dealing with any injury or issue that you need to be extra aware of, take this moment to recommit to caring for yourself and experiencing what you're hoping to experience in the class. So we'll just take a moment before we begin. Okay, so hopefully you had a chance to just do a quick check-in, and we're going to do a more thorough check-in now with ourselves. Okay, so go ahead and find a comfortable position. I am going to be sitting down as I guide you through this meditation and also participate in it myself. You could be lying down, you could be sitting in a chair, you could be standing up, sitting in different positions on your knees, whatever feels right to you. And we will be, I'll be inviting you to do some movement as well, but we'll start in more of a still place. And then we'll go into a little bit of movement, and then we'll be pausing to do some journaling. And just to give you one more overview, we're going to be going through reviewing our breaths, and then reviewing our head, tail, spinal patterning. And then today our class was focused on core-distal. So I'll get into what that means and how we're going to work with it in this class. But for now, you can just relax into a comfortable position that you can find. And we'll start by remembering that we're breathing. So go ahead and find yourself in a comfortable position. And just notice your inhale and exhale. And allow it to come and go on its own timing. And as we go through this meditation, feel free to shift if you need to move to be more comfortable. Just allow yourself to continue breathing. Let your shoulders fall away from your ears. You can let your chin drop down. And your neck lengthen up if you're seated or standing. Notice the parts of your body that are in contact with the floor or a chair. Or if you're standing, notice the bottoms of your feet. Just keep connected to your breath, inhaling and exhaling your breath and the support that is around you, below you, above you. And I have my eyes closed. You can have your eyes closed or open. If your eyes are closed or open, allow your eyes still to fall back in your skull toward your ears, back and down, almost as if you had eyes in the back of your head. Allow your throat to relax and your jaw to relax. And as you're inhaling and exhaling, just notice the position of your spine. Notice the position of your tailbone between your sits bones. And notice your skull, your tailbone connecting through your spine. And as you inhale, just consider shifting that relationship between your head and tail and your spine slightly on the exhale. Inhaling and exhaling on the exhale, just allowing your spine, some part of your spine, to just shift ever so slightly. Can just continue that meditation, allowing your spine to shift, perhaps your cervical spine and your neck, just gently shifting to one side or the other on the exhale. And then allow that to go, allow that part of the meditation to go, but you can continue your inhale and your exhale. And just notice through that process of inhaling and exhaling how your body is expanding and contracting ever so slightly. On your inhale, you might be expanding, and on the exhale, slightly shrinking as the breath leaves your body. As you inhale, you feel that expansion, and on your exhale, shrinking just a little bit. And on the inhale, allowing your body to expand, and on your exhale, again, allowing your body to shrink and contract. And just gently and gradually allow that to take you into some movement. Expanding into the space around you and then shrinking on your exhale. Expanding on the inhale, you might open your eyes for this part and contracting on the exhale. I'm getting pretty big. You're welcome to keep this very small. So just could be inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, expand out into the space around you. Exhale, contract. Inhale, expand into the space. Exhale, contract. Into your belly button, into your center. And allow this journey to go as big or small or in between as you like. Just let the movement continue with your breath. Inhaling and expanding. Exhaling and contracting. And your journey might be very subtle. Could even just be with your eyes. So on your inhale, looking out into the space. And on the exhaling, feeling your eyes relax and soften back into the back of your head. Closing your eyes, perhaps. You could do this activity seated in a chair or in a comfortable couch. Inhaling, expanding into the space. Exhaling, contracting. Inhaling, expanding into space. Exhaling, contract. You also might focus on a certain part of your body, inhaling and exhaling, just like we did with the spine. I could do that with my fingers and my hands. Inhaling, expanding my hands, exhaling, contracting my hands. Inhaling, expanding my hands, exhaling, contracting my hands, shrinking. Or inhale, expanding my face, exhale, contracting my face. You could try it with your tailbone. Inhale, expanding your tailbone. Exhale, contracting your tailbone. You could try it with your feet. Inhale, expanding your feet. Exhale, contracting your feet. Inhale, expanding your shoulders. Exhale, contracting your shoulders. Inhale, expanding your heart. Exhale, contracting your heart. Inhale, expanding your pelvis. Exhale, contracting your pelvis. Inhale, expanding any part of you, your whole body. Exhale, contracting. Just continue on your own. Inhaling, expanding as big or small as you feel. Exhale, contracting. Inhale, expanding outward into the space around you. Exhale, contracting everything closer into your center, your belly button. Exhaling, contracting. Inhaling, expanding. Exhaling, contracting. And you might be on a different rhythm than I am that might be faster. You could try experimenting with directing your breath or really following your breath. Into the space, contracting, into your center, into your core. Exhaling, contracting. Inhaling, expanding. You might review the spinal pattern. So on the inhale, lengthening and opening all those windows in your spine. And on the exhale, letting them just come back into more of an inner place. Inhaling, letting your spine lengthen and open. Exhaling, letting your spine soften and curve back inward. Different directions of your spine, the C curves. Exhaling back to a more neutral spine or even a curved inward spine. Inhale, let your spine expand. Exhale, contract. And then really just focus your energy on your next inhale and exhale. Allow yourself to focus your energy on that central core, the place that your spine moves through your body, so your head to your tail. Inhale, expanding that, lengthening, and then exhale, contracting. Coming back into your center, but still this feeling of inhaling, expanding, and exhale, contracting. Very slight and subtle. Really sensing your inner self and your spine. You might have your eyes closed if you would like. You can do this laying down or standing. Inhale, filling your core being this whole channel from your pelvis up through your heart and your throat into your skull. So your head to tail, this whole torso and pelvis, letting that area inhale and expand, exhale and contract. You might exaggerate it a little bit with your movement. And then come into a very neutral, calm place, but still feeling that subtle expansion and contraction on your in-breath and your exhale. And a few more breaths, expanding and contracting. Allowing your shoulders to drop away from your ears, your spine. Okay. So we'll bring that meditation to a close. Allow yourself to inhale and exhale a few more times. And of course, we'll keep breathing. But we'll move on to another piece of this class after our meditation. So our moving meditation. We're still in that process constantly of expanding and contracting with our breath. And let me see here. Okay. Yes. Okay. So what we'll do next is if you can find your journal, hopefully if you have one. If you don't have a journal or you don't have paper available right now, that's okay. I would invite you to take this time just to do a little inward reflection and thinking with your heart and your body. And you can do that. If you don't have a journal, like I said, you could do that by perhaps drawing your experience with your hands in an imaginary canvas. And just considering the thoughts and feelings that are coming up. If you do have a journal and a pen available to you, go ahead and spend a few moments just journaling and writing, either drawing or writing words or a combination about your experience of your sense of being, no, actually, go ahead and start by writing your experience of what it means to you, your core, what that means to you, your center. And go ahead and just journal, draw, write about your experience of your center and your core. No right or wrong answers, just write something. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same. Just take a few minutes, maybe 2 minutes to journal a bit about that. Okay, begin. Your core. your experience. You could almost think about this as letting your core speak through you. So as you're writing, you might think about how you're almost channeling the voice of your core. Wherever you experience that center or core sense about yourself, just let that channel or experience come through images, through words, whatever you feel expresses that part of you and that experience of you. Just see if you can get that down in a brief way. You don't have to explain everything about it. Just get some thoughts on a paper or some images on a paper that expresses your core. And this moment, okay. All right, and you can go ahead and bring that to a close, that part of our journal. And go ahead and just look at your image that you drew. Take a moment to pause and stop wherever you are. Just reflect on what words or lines or shapes came about, colors perhaps. And if you were reflecting, just take a pause and consider your images that you came to mind or the feelings that came to mind. And then we're going to continue our journal a little bit longer with this prompt of journaling a little bit about your experience of being inside of your body, inside of your core, your center, or being out in the periphery of your body and your life experience. So just take a moment and kind of think through your day or your experiences, recent experiences, and take some time to write about where you feel like you are on that spectrum or how that spectrum is part of your life, the ebb and flow of going out into the world and being inward. And while we're all at home and doing a lot of things in this shelter in place mode, or a lot of us are, some of us aren't, take some time to think about, even if you are more in the home-centered mode, perhaps you're emailing or you're calling people or you're sending letters in the mail or whatever it is, but think about the outward and inward. Just take some time to reflect on that pattern and that rhythm for yourself. So you can draw the rhythm, you can write about it, but we'll take a couple minutes to do that. Okay. And again, you could think about speaking through your core, how your core center energy is expressing itself. How does it feel to your core, your belly, your this central place to your body as you experience it? How does that rhythm feel to your core? And allow your journal to channel that feeling in your belly, perhaps your belly or your heart or another part of you that feels central to you. The inner and outer rhythm. Okay, and just take a little minute longer. Don't worry about getting everything out. Just kind of see what comes up right away. Okay, and I think we'll just do one more journal prompt and then we'll do some more moving. So this one, I sort of started it on my own journal. It's the similar question, but just maybe another way to organize it. So I did it like this. Let's see if you can see here. Oh, it's right. It's going to be backwards. Okay, so I'll just tell you what I did. I did in reach. I divided my paper down the center and then went like that. And I wrote on the left side, I wrote in reach. And on the right side, I wrote outreach. And then on the left side, I started just listing some activities that I do that are more of an in reach. Like, for example, I put sleeping. Feels like something really inner and central, and it's just about me and my core sleeping. That's my interpretation of sleeping, but who knows? You might have dreams that take you out into the world in unique ways. So maybe sleeping for you is an outreach, or maybe it's a combination. For things that are combinations, I wrote them in the middle. So I wrote writing emails for me felt like I'm reaching into myself and my experience, but I'm also sending them out. So it felt like it goes on the side. Then I wrote on outreach, calling friends. So just take some time and write down the activities that you're doing. We'll only do this for a minute. And I'll encourage you to continue this sort of tracking of your life movements outside of the class, but I just take a moment and try that. You can also, if you want to make certain things bigger or emphasize them with colors, like sleeping, I spend a lot of time, you know, there's a significant time sleeping, but maybe not as much time writing emails and calling friends. So just have fun with that. Just take a moment to do that, and then we'll get back to dancing. So, okay, go. And again, let your core speak through this. So you're channeling the voice of your inner core and how your inner experience coming out through the paper and through your expression. Okay, again, we're just getting a little impression here, so don't worry about writing down your whole life. Go ahead and just bring that to a close, and you can set it aside to perhaps return to later. We're gonna get back into some movement now. But I just wanted to kind of plant that seed in the midst of our movement about the rest of our life and how our body is experiencing our whole life, as well as this class. And okay, so we've been talking about the core-distal pattern, but I haven't really gone into so much of a description yet, and I'm hoping to guide you through your own experience of core-distal pattern, which we did a little bit of with the breath and our spine, etc. So just a few ideas for how to think about core-distal. You wrote in your own journal about what you experience as your core, and I think it's a big topic that's open to interpretation. And as I'm talking here, if you'd like to be moving slightly and just tuning into your own sense of your center, whether that's in your heart, whether that's your belly button, you might experience through your tailbone, your sense of a real center, or it could be something else. Maybe you're feeling like you have more of a sense of center in a different part of you, or it could be your liver, or the place where your ribs connect. Could be your spine that feels very central. Just notice for you and allow yourself to move as I am just talking, and I'm going to just share some ideas about core and how you might connect inwardly to that sense of yourself. So some image that comes to my mind is a starfish, or a octopus, even something that has a very clear center and then all these limbs that radiate out. And for our own human experience in this body, we talked about the spinal pattern of head tail. And if you weren't in the first class, just to give you a little review, we used our hands to connect to the bones right behind our ears, the place where our spine connects with our skull. And this place can be a place to imagine eyes in the back of our head, right here. And we can move from that place and lead movement from that place. And then our tailbone is a place that you can also touch on your own body and move from your tailbone to different places. And so just go ahead and try moving from those two places. So take a little time to move from the back of your skull and see where that takes you. And again, if you're sitting in a chair or if you have limited mobility, that's okay to work with wherever you are and make the movements as subtle or as big as you'd like. It's just a few moments to move from the back of our head, as if the eyes in the back of my head were really wanting to see the space around me, and my own eyes can fall back into my head. Just get a little taste of that. And now just shift quickly into moving from your tailbone. So allow your tailbone to have eyes in your tailbone and see where your tailbone, if you could show your tailbone, or your tailbone looks at every space in your space. So you can also touch your own tailbone if that's a harder place to imagine moving from for you. And again, you can do this even from a seated place in a chair. Just allow your tailbone to shift a little bit. Directions in your head might respond, but allow your tailbone to guide you for a little bit, as if you had eyes in your tailbone looking everywhere in the space around you. So the head and tail, you can just bring that exploration, or you can continue exploring as I'm talking. But the head and tail are great distal ends of our body to imagine that they are the distal part of core to distal. So we have our head and our tailbone as kind of ends of our body that we can explore from. There are also our fingertips and our toes. So are other places that could be the end point. I think it's also interesting to think about distal as being our shoulders and our hip bones. It's kind of a stretch because that's so connected and close into our core. But if you think about the ways that you can expand your shoulders out, or your pelvis, there's still lots of distance to go to get to the center, or the core channel of our spine and our inner organs. So we can just try, let's just try breaking each one of those down, and then we'll go into a bit more dancing. So just spend a quick moment to do some movement that's imagining, again, let's just try imagining that there's eyes in our fingertips, and you're showing your fingertips the whole space around you, really making sure your fingertips get a chance to see all the space around you. You could do this with one hand if it feels kind of overwhelming to do two, or one at a time. See what the feeling is like. And then your other hand, just showing, or both of your hands if that's fun to try, letting your fingertips guide you through the space. And you can continue. You might notice that you return into your core and then expand out. And your breath can support you. And then letting your toes and your feet be the guides for a moment, and showing the space to your feet. And your feet might expand and contract outward as you just explore, as if you had eyes in your feet, looking all around and returning inward and spreading outward your feet. Looking around at all of this space. And you can try being very specific about one of your toes guiding, or your pinky toe, your big toe, one of the middle toes, or your heel. Try that. We could also try a little bit of allowing our elbows to be our distal ends for a moment. Just exploring and showing your elbows everything in space. So if there were eyes in your elbows, and then letting your shoulders be the distal ends, expanding out to show your shoulders everything, but also returning in sometimes. And perhaps the bones of your pelvis also could be exploring. And again, if you're seated in a chair, you can explore subtle ways to tilt your pelvis or your shoulders. You can be much more subtle than me if you like, or your elbows, or your hands, or your feet. Okay, so it's just a little taste. I'm gonna allow you to continue exploring those different possibilities, expanding out with different limbs, and then returning back into your center. And you can do this as big or small as you like. And I'm gonna be playing a little bit of a drum, and I might switch instruments so that you can experience where different vibrations and sounds inspire you to move from. So I'm gonna try starting off with the drum and this idea of the heart being one of our centers, or one part of our center. So go ahead and allow yourself to improvise and move and take care of yourself and enjoy the experience of your core to distal connection. So we'll just do a little bit of exploration with music. And like I said, I'll be changing instruments. We'll do this for about 5 to 10 minutes. Yeah, I think we'll do the next thing after that. So go ahead and keep moving and exploring the core distal connection as I play some different instruments for you. Also, if you're feeling, no, I think I left it. I gave enough possibilities. Okay. You can mute though if you'd like silence, or your own music if you prefer that. But I'd encourage you to stay with the different vibrations I'm gonna offer for fun. Okay, here we go. And I just realized I'm going to show you an image as I play this. So this is was on a t-shirt that I had, and I really love this heart image. And it's part of a little quilt I'm making. So anyway, you can kind of see that. I'm just going to let that be there. Okay, and allowing your dancing experience to come to a closing. Hopefully you enjoyed that journey through vibrations and through sounds as you experimented and experienced the core-distal connection for yourself. I'd like to try a few more ideas with this. We have about, I think we have about 10 more minutes of class. So one thing I'd like to try is looking at some images. I showed you this heart image. And so just before I do that, just take a moment in your own mind. And with everything we've done so far in the class, just think about what images might be coming to your mind. If you have your journal close by, you might jot them down or just do a quick little sketch, but just take a minute and think about if any images come to your mind relating to this core-distal patterning. Or right after your dance, if anything is speaking through your core, through your heart, through your center, as well as through these distal ends that we have been experiencing. So if you just have that image in your own mind and heart about how you experience core distal, the image that came to my mind was like a fountain bubbling up, just constantly bubbling up, like a source of water kind of gently bubbling up in a pool. And I'm sure that you came up with some interesting images too. So we're just going to look at a few images, and I invite you to draw those images in the air with your different distal ends. So I'll just guide you through that. I'm going to show you this big drawn painting behind me. I'm going to put it in front of the screen and I'll just say, okay, your fingertips or your forefinger. And then I'd like you just to kind of follow some of the lines that you see in this painting. So just a sec, I'm gonna move it down. And we'll try all of the lines, even our belly button. So we'll do our belly button, the back of our skull, our tailbone, fingertips, toes, maybe shoulder or hip. We'll see if we have time. We'll just take a couple minutes and I'll guide you and prompt you through different distal ends. And feel free to follow your curiosity if you are really desiring to explore one of the distal ends that we've talked about, or your core. You can just focus on one. Yeah, let's see where this goes. So I'm going to put the camera like this so that you can see this painting. This is a painting that my brother Ben, I don't know if he had finished it or not. I have one brother who died fairly recently, and he left behind a lot of artwork. So I'm sharing this artwork in his honor, and he was also a mover. So anyway, his drawings have lots of movement in them and paintings. So you can see that there's lots of lines and directions there. So you might follow some of those lines and directions. Maybe just start with the easy one with, well, it's easy for me to say, with our fingertips. So imagine that you were painting this drawing, this painting, with your fingertips. You could try a specific fingertip, like your thumb. It might be unusual. Or your pinky finger, your forefinger. And you can allow that to take you through space a little bit. So maybe follow with your finger and then let that movement go through your whole body and then come back to these different lines and energies. Again, let it take you through your whole body and take you moving. And after you've tried the fingertips of one hand, you can do a few strokes with the other fingertips, or allow it to take your whole body on a journey. And then come back to the painting for a little inspiration again. And then go ahead and try with your toes. So we're just getting a little taste of all the different distal ends. So allow one of your toes to follow some of the lines and energies in this painting. And then let the movement take your body on a little journey. And try some from your other foot, from your other toe. And let that take your body on a journey. This time, see what it's like to look at the painting with the eyes in the back of your head. That place right where your spine meets your skull, behind your ears. See what happens if you look at it like that. And then take that movement on a journey. Now you might notice what happens if you look at the painting and let your tailbone just follow some of those lines and connections. And allow it to ripple through your body. And then you might try one shoulder. See what happens if you follow some of the lines with one of your shoulders and let it go through your body, your whole body. And allow your other shoulder, one side of your hip, move into one side of your hip bone, following the lines and energies of the painting. And then the other hip, just getting a quick taste of the lines and energies. You can try one of your elbows, moving the lines in the painting and the other elbow. You could try a little bit with your knee, following some of the lines and directions and energies, and then letting that flow through your body. And then returning to your belly button and your core. We tried the tailbone. Try moving some of the energies right from your belly button, following a line or a stroke or an energy, a curve, and letting the movement naturally affect the rest of your body. And bringing that journey to a close. I hope that you enjoyed that experience of following, just briefly, getting a taste of initiating movement with different parts of your body, whether they're close to core or the distal ends. There's so much more we could do with core-distal patterning. And so this gives you a little taste, just a little taste of core-distal, the core-distal pattern, and hopefully also you feel the connection to head, tail, and spinal, and our breath pattern. I brought these sunflower pillows because sunflowers really have a radiating, strong core and then distal energy to them. And so I like that image to think about core-distal as a sunflower. I also brought some real flowers into the space here, some daisies and roses that I'll show you. That's kind of a nice core-distal energy to them. The center of the flowers, and then they open up, and flowers close and open too. So there's that sense of opening and closing. And thank you so much for joining me in this class and this exploration. I hope that you're staying well and rested, and if your life is taking you out into the world a lot, giving thanks for that service and that experience you're able to have. And if life is really pulling you into your home, to your center, to your core, also honoring that experience. And so, as I mentioned before, take that journaling and reflecting into your life, experiencing your movement of your daily life, and hopefully with some fun new awarenesses about core and distal patterning and just ways to work with something familiar that we're always breathing, we're always moving. So enjoy the rest of your week, and thanks again for tuning in. Thanks again to Berkshire Yoga Dance and Fitness Studio for offering these classes so generously to the community. And if you would like to donate to the classes and the teachers, you can do that at supportbydf.com. Thanks again for coming, and I hope you have a wonderful dancing week. Let's just close with a couple of breaths together. We'll just do 3 breaths to close this time. So find a comfortable position, standing, sitting, lying, and we'll just allow ourselves to breathe. Inhaling and exhaling. Here we go. 3 deep breaths. 1. On your own timing, 3 deep breaths. 2. Thank you for joining the class, and look forward to seeing you again. Take care.